All dressed up and nowhere to go. It's VGC, the video game podcast, with me, Jordan Midler, Chris Scullion, and Andy Robinson. This week, the Oblivion remake is out in about 45 minutes. But first, how's it going, folks? Happy Good Friday, Jesus' birthday, whatever he did. Andy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. I've been playing a video game.
Oh, novel.
Yeah, I've been playing a video game. I'm going to Japan on Sunday.
Way right, everyone off the bingo card there, right?
Just I thought for a little change, I'll just hop on the ferry.
Yeah,
hop on the ferry and cross Russia to the other side.
Cross the icy tundra of Russia. Walk through the Drake Passage. Okay, while you're there, the Hiroshima Pokemon Center just reopened, so if you could just take a bag and fill that up for me, that'd be amazing.
Is that the one because they pick really increasingly obscure Pokemon as their mascot Pokemon, don't they?
Oh no, this is a belter. So in
Hiroshima, is it the one that looks like the set of keys? Yeah.
No, Klefki's fine. Enough of the Klefki slander. The Hiroshima mascot Pokemon is Gyarados. That's a proper Pokemon. That's what you're after. Not
Gary
just Gyarados. Gary 2 times. It's a shiny Gyarados, so he's red, and the Pikachu has a big. Wait, Andy, you're Japanese.
But I can't be dealing with Pokemon fans. I mean, I guess I'm telling them.
See you later, folks.
Celebrating Pokemon.
90% of anyone, shopping in otaku areas in Japan is a Pokemon fan.
Yeah. Biggest franchise in the world, thank you. Biggest entertainment property of all time. Speaking of the biggest entertainment properties of all time.
You're not getting that Gyarados because they're used to queuing up and having a fight.
Yeah, well, I'll fight them right back. I'm a big boy. Chris Scullion, how are you?
Because you're a Pokemon fan.
I'm doing very well, thank you. Happy Jesus' birthday.
Happy Jesus' birthday, God rest him.
It's not his birthday, that was Christmas.
If you believe the Christian woke propaganda, I'm fairly certain he was born and
second
died
birthday.
the same day. Yeah.
His rebirth day. Blessings regardless.
The Queen had 2 birthdays. It's just like that, God rest her.
That's true. Yeah, God rest her. Yeah, it's been a week. It's been Easter holidays weeks so the wee ones about us. So apologies for any kind of disruption you may hear.
Any swear words you may hear.
Yeah, exactly. God bless headphones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. But, yeah, it's long live long live the weekend. I was going to say surely not long live.
Long live the weekend.
Roll on the weekend and then long live it.
This is Long Live the Weekend, the club anthems with Chris Scullion.
Yeah, auditioning for Human Traffic 2. I'd listen to that. You just acapella.
Just me doing
Well, maybe we could execute that on the future live streams on patreon.com/videogames.
Do you remember the guy who did loads of Guitar Hero, recorded loads of his Guitar Hero runs, but because of copyright reasons, he had to basically he did a cappella versions of the music when he dubbed it over it. So it's playing Through the Fire and the Flames and just doing it, just singing over it.
I thought you were going to say you just took out the music entirely, so you just had.
Oh God, no! I've seen too many videos that sound like that.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I have, before we get into the video game stuff, I found that an absolute topper of an energy drink to review, boys, and it's called Energy Drink. This comes from Morrison's. It has classic taste, vitamins, taurine, and caffeine, and this could not look more like. You know how in Death Stranding when the original had the Monster sponsorship and then they took it out of the PS5 version and just replaced it. This is essentially what they replaced it with. Energy
generic energy drink.
Is this going to be Red Bull? Then,
it looks like an item in one of that detective game you were playing the other day, Chris.
It does.
Chris Scullion, it's Red Bull. Oh, there it's flat Red Bull. Jesus Christ, that's grim.
Dead Bull.
Yeah, Hash Bull. That's less of a pun.
We got a slushy machine for the kids this week, it being half term, and I've been really tempted to slushy up a Monster.
Do it. You'd break it immediately. In fact, do it with an Ultra because they aren't that carbonated, so you'd probably be.
I'm going to go to the shop and get one today. I'm going to slushy it up. It's a shame I'll have to report on the next podcast.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the Discord.
Is it basically like a grown-up version of a Mr. Frosty?
It's a proper you can make milkshakes and stuff on it.
Is it one of the ninja ones?
Beyond the, yeah, it is. Yeah, beyond this week, it will never be used again.
Been there. I also have a beverage today. It doesn't quite count as an energy drink, but it's a. Have we done sparkling Chupa Chups sour green apple before?
I don't think we've done sparkling Chupa Chups sour green apple before.
Allegedly, a green apple flavour carbonated soft drink.
We got to bring in some guidelines here. Like what counts as an energy drink versus a can of a fizzy drink?
I know, but I mean, I think when it's novelty,
Coca-Cola.
I think when it's novelty, I think that's allowed because it's probably going to be stinking. I think our rule should be no more than 1% real fruit juice, and this is 1% apple juice from concentrate, of course.
I don't know, Chris. I feel like you should go and have to get medical grade taurine and put it in that can for it to count as an energy drink.
To be confirmed. It's also got Braille on the. I can't show you now because I've opened it. It's got Braille on the ring pull.
Also, famously, Braille is not an audio feature, so.
But I mean, more for the video people. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's Braille for open. I'm sure blind people can figure out what a ring pull is.
Do not open.
But surely blind people can figure out what a ring pull is. They don't need to.
Braille for botulism. Chris, it's probably the expiration date. He's drinking it now.
I like to check that expiration date.
Yeah.
It's actually not as flavourful as you would expect. It's actually quite mild.
Oh, yeah.
It's not sour as it screams at the bottom of the can. It's actually just reasonable apple juice with a bit of fizziness to it. So it's actually disappointingly plain.
Disappointingly plain?
I would continue to drink that without much disruption to the guts.
Disappointingly plain. VGC, the video game podcast. If you want more podcasts, videos, and extra content from VGC, including ad-free browsing, you can go to patreon.com/videogameschronicle. Lots of fun stuff up there. If you happen to be a wrestling fan, it's WrestleMania weekend this weekend. Next week, Chris and I will release an incredibly overlong review of the broadcast. Although don't let that scare you away because the wrestling podcasts are only quarterly at this point. Apart from that, we have stuff like CVG coming up, this time on the Nintendo DS. Chris, DS stands for dual screen. What do you think about that?
Indeed, although it was rumoured that it originally stood for developer system because it was so intuitive for developers. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. The DS is one of the systems I've played more than in because that was my time at Fish Nintendo magazine, so I played any old shite that turned up for it. So that and the Wii are the two libraries I know the most intimately. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
I think...
and I mean intimately in every way you can imagine.
Yeah. Where's that stylus going? I think I've played...
God bless the DSi XL and its bigger styli.
I may have played less.
What's happened to you today, Chris?
I know, you're really
I'm gone this week. I'm not at the races. It's all good.
Anyway, patreon.com/videogameschronicles. Story number 1, Oblivion remake screens and details leak. Poor Virtuous, but maybe don't leave screenshots of Oblivion on your WordPress. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, the worst kept secret in the business. Screenshots have appeared online. The game is very likely going to be out next week. I have heard the 22nd. Grubb says the week of the 21st. Let's call the whole thing off. You'll be playing it next week. The screenshots look pretty good. I'm looking forward to properly giving this a go. Andy, I wanted to ask you about this whole shadow drop strategy, because I said on Blue Sky that I thought it was weird to do this for an Elder Scrolls game when we're not getting another one for 45 years, when friend of the show and former coffee boy Chris String said, well, this shadow drop business can do quite well and it's hard to keep people's attention. Do you follow that logic, or do you think this should have had a better ramp up, discounting the fact that everyone in the world knew it was coming?
I don't know. I don't work in marketing. You've got to listen to Chris String on this one.
Oh, that's the don't agree with Chris String because he was against me.
But some of them have that. Like, I mean, obviously, famously, Hi-Fi Rush did really well. This is one of those games as well that people like. They know what it is. It's a pretty easy sell, right?
Yeah.
How much do you need to market Oblivion Remaster? Like, for one of the most beloved role-playing games of the last 20 years. Christ, it is 20 years, isn't it?
I was about to say, it's an old game, though. Like, young people need to know what it is.
Oh, but they know what Elder Scrolls is.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know how much that you need to kind of market that proposition. Better Oblivion, like everyone's going to buy it immediately, and then kind of a lot of the, I guess it'd be kind of organic word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can just see people playing that for a long time and sharing, kind of their experiences with that for a long time.
Yeah,
maybe that is the marketing for them, right? Just get it out there, get it into people's hands. But whether they like it or not, they've had their marketing for about a year of leaks.
Yeah.
They are a leaky ship, Xbox, aren't they?
I checked my phone last night, Andy, and we were texting about this game 7 months ago at this point, to the point where I was like, yeah, it's about to happen, and things got moved for various reasons. But yeah, it's been long on the boil. Chris, I wanted to ask you, the Elder Scrolls fandom is huge because Skyrim is such a big game, but they've not had a new game in about 300 years. Do you think this will kind of satiate them until you assume that maybe the next Elder Scrolls is like a 27, 28 kind of game at this point?
Yeah, it's not going to satiate them till then, but I think they'll be happy to not have Skyrim again.
Yeah.
For a change. It always seems to be Skyrim that gets the re-releases, so I think a lot of them probably won't have played Oblivion for quite a long time and will be kind of happy to go back to what will hopefully be a less janky version.
Yeah.
So that might give them, it's certainly not going to keep them happy till the next Elder Scrolls comes out, because that seems like a long time away.
Yeah, they kind of got no choice but to do kind of put remasters and remakes into their schedule with how long those games take to make, right? You're not seeing a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls much before 2030, right? I mean, is it even going to be on PS5 at that point? Is it be PS6? To your point as well, or not to your point, I should say, to my point. Why are they calling it a remaster when it's like we're proper straddling the line there, right?
It's meaningless.
This is clearly a significantly rebuilt game.
Yeah. Like,
I've given up trying to decide what's a remaster and what's a remake, because they seem to just be interchangeable at this point. It seemed fairly clear to me what the difference was, but then you get stuff like this and it's like, that's a remake. But they're calling it a remaster. It's like,
Chris, let me run this by you. My delineation was always, it's the same game but better graphics is a remaster. It's the same, and then for a remake, it's the same like concepts but updated and changed with better graphics. So
yeah,
I would say that Demon's Souls is a weird situation because the original game is running underneath that, but obviously it looks like a PS5 game. So to me, that's a remaster, even though everyone would call it a remake. That again, it's totally meaningless.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It all comes down to engine and stuff like that as well, doesn't it? What it's running on. And
I asked Night Dive Studios a couple of years back. I asked the boss of Night Dive, Stephen Kick, a friend of the show, what the difference is between a remake and a remaster. And he said, it's really tough, isn't it? We've tried to come up with a definition internally. Based on the work that we've done in the past, we've done a little bit of everything at this point. We've done what we like to call enhanced editions, where you basically you're taking the original game, making it run on newer operating systems, and then adding some nice quality of life stuff, like widescreen support. Then we've got games like Shadow Man, which we consider a true remaster. We did all the quality of life stuff and got it running smoothly at 60 FPS. But then we did art on top of that, new textures, new models, and even went so far as work with the original developers and implement stuff that got left on the cutting room floor. Finally, we've got System Shock, which is a ground-up remake. It's all brand new, but it's still based on the original game and is as true to that as we can possibly keep it. I don't even agree with that, right? But I don't, because it seems to me he's describing a reboot. Because we go even further, right? But I know that it's just ridiculous, isn't it? But this is the thing about video games, right? One of the good and bad thing about video games is that it straddles tech and art.
Yeah.
So we're trying to put tech terms on ultimately what is something that can be perceived differently by different people, right? Because if you're saying, System Shock, it's the same story, but it's, true to the same story, but it's all new. Well, couldn't that just be like the Tomb Raider reboot? I don't know.
What about a retread?
Oh, nice.
I think as soon as this is my own personal belief, that as soon as you start changing the textures and changing the assets, then it no longer becomes a remaster. For me, a remaster is taking the original assets and increasing the resolution or increasing the frame rate or whatever, to making it look suitable for modern systems. I think once you start taking out the textures and replacing them with new textures, that's no longer you remastering.
But if you're upscaling the textures, AI upscaling them, whatever, fine. When you're putting significantly amount of new assets in it. I mean, you look at these screenshots, these leaked screenshots, this Oblivion remake, right? They're completely new models.
Yeah.
Like the geometry is totally new.
Yeah.
Like I would love to know how much of that even remotely is original. I mean, I know that if you're a developer listening to the podcast, you might come in here, well, technically, most remastered stuff, it has to be built from the ground up anyway. And actually, to that point, in the very next sentence here, I'm reading this news story. Stephen Kick slips up. He says, so in the instance of Turok and some older N64 games, if you play our remake, remaster, I slipped up myself.
Kick.
Let's start a new segment called Remake or Remaster.
That's good. We're going to do that. We'll do that next week. Get the Discord to submit them in. Remake or remaster.
Ends with a blazing row.
That's a good point, actually. On the VGC Discord, go and I'll start a podcast thread or someone do it. We'll do Remake or Remaster, the new.
We need to do a jingle.
Yeah.
Someone do a jingle as well.
Back in the day, famed director Gus Van Sant remade Psycho, but he remade it shot for shot. Like every single shot was completely. It wasn't like his own take on it. He completely. So by some logic, is that a remaster? By video game logic, because it's the same film, but
I don't
textures.
know. It's difficult. A remaster is like, I guess, it's like a Star Wars Special Edition, right?
Yeah,
but it's I don't know.
Right, get Kenny Young on the blower, get him to make us a jingle, remake a remaster.
Oh no, I'm thinking Kenny Baker.
Get Kenny Baker out his bin to make us a jingle.
Well, people who don't know that story will think that we think he's been buried in a bin. But
he lived
go back through
bin.
the podcast history to find the Kenny Baker bin story.
Oh, God rest him. Kenny Young, very much alive. He won about 45 BAFTAs last week, so all good for Kenny Young. Story number 2. Marathon's director explains why it isn't free to play. Everyone has their own definition of what the right price. Marathon's director, Joe Ziegler, I'm going to go for, appeared on the Friends. I'm going to go for because that's his name.
I'm going to guess Ziegler.
Appeared on the Friends Per Second podcast with the lovely
What's
Ralph,
that?
the lovely Jake Baldino, and the evil hag Lucy James, and said the following about why the game won't be free to play. Quote, "We're hoping that what we're showing is exciting enough that someone is going to take the leap with us, but we're also committed to delivering on seasons past this, and will continuously offer to evolve the game without an increase to the box price. What we're hoping everyone understands about the game is that we're focused on committing to making the game that's really awesome, and we think that the starting point is really strong at this current time." Everyone's got their own definition of the right price. Chris Scullion, if Bungie can't charge for a shooter like this, no one can. That is my assessment.
This is the only game that I can't tell how it's going to go. Like everyone else, you think that's got Concord written all over it, but this has got a built-in audience of Destiny players.
Yeah,
who
Bungie will carry that through.
Yeah, there'll be enough Destiny players who have had their fill of Destiny and are ready to see what Bungie gives them next, and they'll pay up for the next one. So
to be fair, Chris,
it seems like
you can't judge it too quickly. You can't judge it too quickly because famously it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a Snickers, I think you'll find. But I think this is the only one that will get away with it. I think this will sell well enough.
Yeah.
Which will then cause other studios and developers and publishers to say, oh, well, Bungie can do it, so they'll all release even more paid free live service games and they'll all collapse.
Yeah.
And then we'll just repeat the cycle all over again.
I mean, it's 6.5 a dozen about which kind of shooting you prefer, but between Bungie and Activision's Call of Duty stuff, they make the best shooting in the world, and that's what everyone who played.
You can see that from the footage as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that game clearly looks fun to play. It's just whether it's the age-old issue, right? Especially for this genre, is it kind of different enough to pull people away from their entrenched games? I'll give it a go. Just purely because you said Bungie shooting, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, and they were Tam did a preview as well on GameSpot, and he said fighting against the AI is brilliant, and like that's a Bungie hallmark as well. Like the Halo AI was always incredible. Playing Halo games on Legendary is like some of the best first-person shooting experiences you can have. I can't wait to play through them again on PS5. That would be very strange. But it's teams of three of us right here. We could become a marathon esports team. The extraction shooter genre has never been one that's massively grabbed me. I like, Andy, we played that DMZ and COD a few times. Like I enjoy that, but
not for me.
Yeah, I'm more of I like a battle royale. The persistent kind of the loop of a extraction shooter doesn't do a lot for me really. But it's Bungie, so I'll give it a go. And it's an interesting one. Chris, how much is this going to cost? 40? I'm think that's what the rumor was, I suppose. I think 40 is pretty normal.
It's got to be 40. I mean, that to me feels like the sweet spot. If they try to go 70, 80, so there's carnage happening around it. If that's going to be like, if they're going to go like premium price,
90 Mario Kart World. That's
going to be maybe a bit too much for some people. I can see it being 40.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I want to play that alpha later this year, and then it's out in September. Which, I mean, to me, it's like we've got the year up until Switch 2. Then Switch 2 happens, and then there's quite a lot out in the summer. End of this year's total wilderness. Like, how much does stuff scarper? Because Take-Two's financials are like fairly soon, and presumably that's the last chance they have where they can delay GTA. So if that actually gets dated for this year, I feel like most of this stuff we're talking about for September, like, see you later on. Like, Yote is apparently this year. I don't think that comes out this year if GTA is really this year.
Is it this game that's coming out the same day as Borderlands?
I'm not. There's
a game like in the last week that was dated the same day as Borderlands, and I thought it was genius. Because Take-Two are not going to release Borderlands next to GTA.
It's Marathon and Borderlands are out on September 23rd.
Yeah. Good.
That's the new Barbie Oppenheimer, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on, Chris. Think of one.
No, because it was either Borderthon or Marrowlands, and I don't really like either of those, so I just decided to plead the fifth.
Marrowlands sounds like a chocolate. By the way, media recommendation. There's 3 documentaries on the Channel 4 YouTube channel that are the secret life of, the secret business of something like that. But it's like the secret business of chocolate, the secret business of crisps, and it's all about the UK crisp and chocolate industry.
Yeah, I quite like them. Yeah.
Are those narrated by
Don French?
Don French, they are good. I've seen
they're
those.
Very good. These guys hyper seriously talking about the makeup of a
I love the crisp guys, right? They are they hate each other. They absolutely hate each other. They like, well, why don't you try some Whatsits and see if you prefer, or Quaver, see what you prefer. Well, these are disgusting.
Guys eating a Quaver looks like it's going to be sick. You're like, come on, mate. That's also the one with the chocolate guy on it. I think the Mars marketing guy or something. He goes into a newsagent at one point, and he's like swapping the chocolate bars around so that Mars is at the front. I'm like, you're an absolute word I can't say right now.
It's amazing. They're talking about how we just couldn't beat the Whatsit. We tried to launch the Cheeto and it didn't work, so we had to end up buying the Whatsit brand. Favorite chocolate bar, Chris?
Double Decker all day long.
Yeah, Andy.
I'll just go for a classic fruit and nut. But you know what? Galaxy's better than that.
A fruit and nut is such a da choice. That is my dad gets a thing of fruit and nut every single year. I'm a crunchy man.
Not a big sweet guy.
Yeah,
I'm not usually.
I think you're a big sweet guy, Andy. Don't worry about it.
There we go. I was a Yorkie man. Until they got noticeably smaller, more so than any other.
Until they got woke and started like girls.
I know exactly. Until they removed their gender restrictions, and I thought, not for me.
It's impossible to explain to a young person now that for the majority of the 2000s, the entire Yorkie marketing plan was, it's not for girls. And
women can't eat this.
It wasn't this generational issue. It was just like, oh yeah, that's a bit daft.
It was very much the South Park of chocolates in that it got away with it because people knew it wasn't serious.
I mean, famously, if a girl went into newsagents and tried to buy a Yorkie, the boss man was legally allowed to shoot her with a shotgun.
6 months in prison, I think.
Yeah. I don't have
Her Majesty's prison bar Lenny was full of women who tried to buy a Yorkie.
I'm in Bar L, I'm in the big house, I try to buy a Yorkie.
Try to buy a multi-pack.
You can buy, you could buy Yorkies and RS McCalls. I met Shuhei Yoshida and RS McCalls. Speaking of, story number 3, Nintendo is losing its identity, Shuhei Yoshida says. Switch 2's focus on power is what other companies would do. Number 1 podcast guest in the world, apparently, Shuhei Yoshida, shared his thoughts about the Nintendo Switch 2. This was with Easy Allies. Strap in for this one. This is a long quote. To me, it's a bit of a mixed message from Nintendo. In a sense, I think Nintendo is losing their identity, in my opinion. For me, they're always about creating something new, experience, like design hardware, games together to create something, an amazing new experience. But Switch 2, as we all anticipated, is a better Switch, right? It's a larger screen, more powerful processor, higher resolution, 4K 120 FPS. They even had their hardware person starting the stream, like other platforms do. And because it's a better Switch, the core premise of the whole Switch 2 is we made things better. And that's something other companies have been doing all the time. I'll pause there. Thoughts so far, Chris? I get his point, but I'm in the camp where I really wanted it to be a good Switch, a
100%.
better Switch. So.
But I was going to say that I take his point that, especially the point that the Direct opened with the tech people, the people who made the console, rather than a Miyamoto or someone like that, because that does feel like the sort of thing you would expect Sony to do with Mark Cerny or something like that. Like they show the architects first rather than the actual the figurehead or the like a Doug Bowser or someone. But like you say, all we've been saying for years is Nintendo next console better just be a more powerful Switch, because they've cracked it with the Switch. Don't do a Wii U and roll the dice and do something else weird in case it doesn't work. We all just want a more powerful Switch. And that's what they've given us. So we can't now moan and say, well, it's just a more powerful Switch, because we wanted that all along. So I take his point, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, Andy, you kind of in the same boat?
I don't think it's a very fair comment, to be honest, that they've changed their identity. Well, they were making taxis and toys about 50 years ago, so... You know, what's that supposed to mean? This is a company that's existed for 135 years old, and it's only recently that they've started throwing the baby out with the bathwater with every single home console they bring out, because they've been struggling. Right?
Yeah.
These, you know, when they're successful, they follow it up with an iterative console, the Super Nintendo, especially the handheld scene. Right? I mean, Game Boy Advance iterative, Nintendo 3DS. You know, they've been doing that for a long time, so I don't think they've changed their identity. Also, on that, you know, obviously, Switch. The most crucial thing about Switch is that that doesn't get talked about a lot is that Nintendo literally combined their home console and handheld teams internally. So it is a hybrid console. They now make hybrid consoles. They're not going to go back. So what else would you propose that there's only so much you can do with a screen with some controllers on it. Like there's only so much that you can do with that, but they still, it's not like they just turned up and I disagree. It's not just, I mean, it's another like generation out of date. Still, it's a PS4 powered machine allegedly with some extra bells and whistles, modern kind of stuff. So they're not chasing, they're not in the power arms race. You know, clearly. They're still kind of doing what Nintendo has always done and innovated with old technology. But there's still stuff like the mouse controls, which are more interesting than they sound. Stuff like they put on the hardware, on the software side, like the game chat and the game sharing and, you know, the way that digital games work. They are doing stuff. I don't think it's entirely fair to say that they've changed their identity. Is it a little bit more iterative than we're used to? Yes. But obviously there's understandable reasons for that because of what Chris said.
The thing is, if he's alluding by changing the identity, he's alluding to the fact that Nintendo aren't pushing innovation anymore; they're pushing power. Nintendo are just being smarter with what they do. They still very much push innovation. It's just when they go, he's expecting, or I would imagine he's expecting Nintendo to go wacky and go, here's something completely different to what you've ever expected. But they're doing that with stuff like. And I'm about to say some names here that you'll laugh at because some of these didn't do very well or are ridiculous. But stuff like Labo, stuff like stuff like Alarmo, stuff like the Mario Kart AR thing where you bought the live circuit where you the toy has the camera. They're still Ring Fit Adventure. They're still innovating. It's just they're taking smaller risks with them, because if Alarmo dies and no one cared about it, they'll say, "Oh well, that didn't work." If a console dies like the Wii U, that's an absolute catastrophe. If a Labo doesn't take off, then they go, "All right, what's next?" As long as the hardware is solid and continues to sell, they can afford to try with experimental stuff, and you might get a Ring Fit which blows up and becomes the new Wii Fit, or you might get a Labo which dies and becomes the next Wii U. They don't care as long as the Switch gives them that foundation now where they can take these risks without looking like a laughing stock.
Also, secretly, now here's the secret that everyone's starting to realise. The failing Nintendo, the Nintendo that's having a mare and going through a disaster, is secretly the best Nintendo. Like, this stuff is born out of them ballsing it up. Like some of your favourite Nintendo games, like a weird, experimental stuff, came at the end of the GameCube era or the Wii era, where they just sort of went, screw it.
Yeah.
Just try some stuff out.
Yeah. Agreed.
Chris, you ventured to the Big Smoke last week to play the Nintendo Switch DOS.
I did.
It's a better Nintendo Switch, yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm really happy with it. Everything about it, even the mouse controls, which I've wrote a piece about, which I highly recommend people check out on videogameschronicle.com. Whereas like the mouse controls are really cool. I'd need more time with them to find a comfortable way of playing the more intense ones. Like stuff like Welcome Tour had a mouse bit in it, and there's mouse mini games in Mario Party and stuff like that. And those, you can play those right away without worrying about comfort. Those are fine. Even Drag and Drive, although it's pretty mouse intensive, is comfortable enough to play, like because you're literally just holding the thing.
What the hell is Drag and Drive?
That's their wheelchair basketball.
Oh, right. I've only ever seen.
Sorry, vehicle basketball. They told us at the thing that we're not allowed to call them wheelchairs. Apparently, according to some of the staff working there. But
I've literally never seen that in the logo where it's like Drag X Drive.
And you said
Dragon Drive. I was like, what is this amazing new game?
A dragon racing game. No, but yeah, but even like, so that and Mario Party and Welcome to the mouse controls, you literally just grab it and go, brilliant, because there's one button basically like to click. Metroid was the one I needed a bit more time with, because to go into morph ball mode, you need to press either X or Y, and that's on the side of the Joy-Con you're using as a mouse. So you're using the mouse, but also kind of trying to press the button at the same time, and that's where the claw hand kind of can come into it a bit. So I need a bit more time with that one to find a comfortable way of playing it. But other than that, the mouse controls work fantastically well. Do you mean Andy, you're muted?
Sorry, the thing that make the mouse controls quite cool, and I don't want to overhype this like a HD Rumble scenario. Actually, it literally is HD Rumble 2. But because I was kind of thinking for ages, like, how am I going to get excited about a mouse? Right? I mean, mouse games have existed for 40 years, but with the force feedback, it's a bit of a game changer. Like, it just feels so much more tangible. Like, these Mario Party mini games were excellent. Like, there's a game where you pull back a toy car, like to charge it, and then release it, and you can feel the friction, like the tension building up with the haptics, or if you want to call them that. So that sort of stuff is really, really cool.
Yeah, agreed.
But they're going to stop using it after like a year, aren't they?
I hope not. I hope it takes off, because you've got lots of people saying, well, you don't have a desk around near you all the time when you're playing the games, but when you play Drag X Drive, the tutorial literally says, why don't you try putting it on your leg and see if that works? Yeah. And I was like, all right. And like,
why don't you mind your own business, mate?
I know. I was like, hey, Drag X Drive, why are you assuming that I don't have bare legs right now? But I tried it on my jeans and it works like brilliantly well. Like, brilliant. So everyone around the world is going to be looking like Vic Reeves.
That's the classic.
Just rubbing their legs up and down to pilot their vehicle.
That's the classic example of when anyone does anything, people have to be the first one to come up with something. Well, what if it doesn't work in this scenario? Unless you're somehow suspended in your living room like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, there will be something for you to put the mouse on. Like, I don't think it's that much of a problem.
What if you play games on a hammock and you have to like rub the controller on the wall instead of on a desk? Does that work?
What if you're playing the Nintendo Switch 2 as you're actively following out a helicopter? Have you thought about that? I've got no.
What if you're Katy Perry and you're in space for 11 minutes? Can you play it in zero gravity?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. That was worth destroying the planet for. I get made to feel bad because I don't recycle a can or I want to use a plastic straw.
You don't recycle a can?
And you're pissing off to space?
How can you not recycle a can? What's wrong with you?
Well, as you may have noticed, I consume a lot of cans, so occasionally get to space. Occasionally, one or two of them may end up in the trash rather than the recycling. So
can't believe it.
Yeah, execute me live, and you can watch that when we come back after this. VGC and VGC the Video Game Podcast is supported by Patreon. Check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle for more podcasts, more videos, and ad-free browsing on the website. Thank you for your support. And we are back. Story number 4, Metal Gear in Concerts coming to London. Quick on this. The Metal Gear Solid franchise has some absolute banger tunes, and they're going to play them at the Royal Albert Hall later this year. Included in the performance will be Donna Burke, who is the vocalist behind the best Metal Gear song, Snake Eater, and Stephanie Hewson, who played Quiet in MGS5. I would have loved to go to this, but 1, it's in smelly London, and 2, it seemed to sell out immediately, so I'm quite sad that we're missing this out. This is a vehicle to ask you to, and I'm doing this slowly so you can think in those tiny pea brains of yours, what concert of a franchise you would like to go to. I'll kick things off. I am not a entire series Final Fantasy fan, but a specific Final Fantasy VII one I think would be amazing. Also, I would love to go to, on the Metal Gear tangent, I would love to go to a festival where it was just the bands that Kojima put in the Death Stranding 1 soundtrack, because that soundtrack is fantastic. That Churches song is banging. Chris, what would you like to go and see? So
I've been to a Zelda one. They did a Zelda one a long time ago, and I went to that.
Does Zelda even have music?
I'm not rising to it. You're trying too hard. I'm not rising to it. Metal Gear, let's get one tune.
Metal Gear's got thousands of tunes. What a thrill.
Smash Brothers.
That's cheating.
That's absolutely cheating. Yes. No, it's not.
Video games.
Last time I checked.
What's your favourite band, mate? Or music? I really like it.
Last time I checked, it's Peggy rated, so I think it counts as a video game.
I'll Peggy rate you. Give us a proper answer.
Well, I can't because Zelda's been done. Mario's too obvious. It would be Mario, but that's like kind of goes without saying. So yeah, it would be something Nintendo.
Yeah.
But
mine would be 2006 to 2016 era Nintendo menu music.
Nice.
That's very niche, but I'd be there day one.
What about like niche. A Wipeout rave?
Niche. The Wii Shop tune is known by everyone.
We still sell more tickets than PlayStation the concert.
Way!
No, that's a good shout actually. What about an Animal Crossing one? You got a wee chill tent where they play the Animal Crossing soundtrack. Good. The greatest MIDI trumpet I've ever heard.
Thank you. That's what they call me.
now do Coronation Street.
It's a bit higher.
That is Coronation Street, isn't it?
That's good. I'll give you that.
Do you know that? Did you know the EastEnders theme song has lyrics? Anyone can fall.
Anyone can fall in love. What a tune! So did the Brookside theme.
Brookside. It's I don't know what Brookside was. It was in Liverpool, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Brookside.
Before your time, that was groundbreaking. Quite literally, when one guy got buried under the patio.
Virgil van Dijk.
But that had a lot of groundbreaking moments.
Yeah.
God rest Brookside.
Yeah, God rest Brookside. Emmerdale's still kicking a ball. Welcome to Soapcast.
Take the high road, but I think that didn't make it outside of Scotland, did it?
No, it's still game. Still game was only broadcast on wide BBC when they brought it back and made it shite. That's not fair. I have pals that worked on that. It wasn't as good as the original. You know that.
Oh, he's backtracking.
Yeah, they're not listening. They've got better things to bother themselves with.
Kimball's never off this podcast.
Andy, you're a big raver. You're a big pillhead. You love the Ease and Whiz. What about a Wipeout concert where it was just the Wipeout music blasting in your ears at 6,000 BPM?
Problem is, all the fans of Wipeout are in their 50s now.
Yeah. It'd be like going to a pulp concert.
I went to see Orbital, and this was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. So God knows what it'd be like now. And yeah, it was like going to the Royal British Legion.
But would if you did a Wipeout concert, what would they just be playing the music? They wouldn't have the actual band, because Keith Flint's away. Keith Flint's away, so they can't do Prodigy.
Yeah.
I mean, they still tour though, don't they, without him?
Yeah. I mean, they just need somebody to get up on stage and go, "Hello, I'm a fire starter." That's pretty much it.
That's true.
They should do a new Wipeout, man. A Wipeout at 120 frames a second. That would look amazing.
Have I ever told on this podcast the exam joke about Firestarter?
Go on then.
I told this in a previous podcast that I used to record for, and it was with Tabur, and he was in hysterics. And it was I did an English exam once, and we're all sitting quietly getting worried about this. Is at high school, all worried about the exam, and the woman's handing out the papers, and she said, "Right, everyone, I'm the invigilator," and some guy behind went, "Pumpkin instigator." And everyone, I couldn't concentrate in my exam. I was in tears. That's absolutely perfect.
Mugging off teachers was the best. The best that I ever saw was we used to have. I was in the bottom set for French, Je m'appelle, and it was such a bad class that the teacher would get in such a bad mood for the rest of the day. So, the guy in this class, absolute wind-up merchant to the point where the teacher would send him out the class, and then he would look in the window at the door and like start waving at people, and he would start texting people that were sat in the class, like trying to make their phones go off. And at one point, she just completely lost her rag and went, "In all my years of teaching, this is the worst class I have ever encountered." This guy stands up, clasps his hands like that, and goes, "Yeah!" It's just like completely anarchy. Like I was crying, laughing. I had to put my head in my bag because I was laughing that much.
I feel quite lucky that we didn't get phones in school until like 16. Like that, phones arrived just as we were, just as I was leaving school. I can only imagine the carnage that happens with phones in schools.
Smartphones had I got my first iPhone in second year, which was like the iPhone 3G, I think, and that just opened an entire new world up of bullying. So it was really difficult to handle.
Because I had like a big blue Motorola brick phone, and like the really, really rich kids, and like 6 years, or just as I was leaving, got the ones with Snake on them.
Oh,
the Nokia 3310s. That was the beginning of it. Just as I was leaving. So yeah.
Obviously, you two have got kids. How did
what?
Someone should have told me. I've been neglecting them.
It felt like when I was leaving school, teachers had basically completely lost any sense of control over the children whatsoever, and it feels like the behaviour of society is only degraded even further.
Yeah, 100%. Like I don't find it funny anymore. Like it's literally like teachers are all. Apparently, that's one of the most fielded job kind of roles in the country is deputy head teachers, because nobody wants them. It's not worth the money. I know lots of people who are teachers or have been teachers. I know lots of people who were teachers and left and did something else. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's it's underpaid. They're overworked. I've got a great deal of sympathy for teachers.
Yeah. I don't know how how it gets redressed though, because like it seems like every year a societal collapse has basically set in at this point. So unless they pay teachers £100,000 a year, I don't think it's going to get any better.
Yeah, I mean, luckily my wee one's still kind of young enough that she's not at that stage yet in school where they all start suddenly going chaotic.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of counting down the days until it's probably high school, isn't it, when that kicks in?
Oh yeah,
I would imagine
it was like
all just.
So obviously this is kind of a Scotland specific problem, but in second year in high school, most people start drinking and just they're like, okay, we're the adults now. Screw these teachers. I'm not being told what to do by this absolute dope. When last weekend I was in a field with a half bottle of Glens and a 20 deck of Marlborough Gold. Glory days. Anyway, story number 5. Nintendo.
Can I just say this is a particularly boring story. This is going to be riveting conversation. Come on, carry on.
Get ready to clip this to people on YouTube.
Nintendo Switch 2 VRR mentions disappear from Nintendo's websites.
What?
Chris Scullion, I've got some breaking
Accidentally
news.
on Digital Foundry.
Chris, I've got some breaking news. Can I go to you live?
Quick.
The website used to say it had VRR, and now a couple of them don't, but the European one does. What does this mean for VRR on the Nintendo Switch 2? Quickly, Chris.
Almost certainly nothing.
Thanks, Chris. We have reader questions from the Discord.
Yes.
We have reader questions from the Discord. You can join the Discord free of charge. However, if you would like to join patreon.com/videogameschronicle, you will be respected more, not by us, but by someone presumably. Question number 1. Shay says, how do you... This is actually quite a pertinent question to what we were just talking about. How do you stay literate with what the youths are currently into? As someone with no kids, I find myself wildly unable to keep up with trends, and younger people frequently look at me with amazement when I've clearly never heard of their favourite streamer or YouTuber. Is it all just osmosis, or is there a better way to keep it all in your heads? I keep up with the youth because I still am the youth. I'm still in my 20s by about 3 months, so I'm still a youth. What about you two, old bastards? How do you keep up? I mean, Chris, a big Sabrina Carpenter fan. He's down with the kids.
Listen, what a honey. No, my nephew is like,
Not again.
My nephew is 10. He's the one who keeps me abreast of all the kind of. So he, like, a year or two ago, I realised that's when I first realised I was out of touch. For a year or two ago, he was like, "Uncle Chris, could you play games now? Have you played Friday Night Funkin'?" I was like, "Wait a minute, say that again." Oh, Funkin'? No. So apparently that's a big thing among the kids, or it was at least a couple of years ago. So he kind of keeps me updated on what's big in the youth world, but generally as well, like. We're covering these things all the time. Some of it just kind of rubs off via osmosis, but then you've got like stuff like the Roblox world, which I'm sure we have no qualms in admitting we are totally out of our depth when it comes to Roblox, because that's just a completely different world entirely.
Happily out my depth. That game looks so shite. Just visually, I hate the way that game looks. I wish it was just...
I'm certain one of the reasons it's so popular is because you can run it on a potato. Yeah, and that's why like globally, they always say we've got hundreds of millions of users, and it's like, but I'll bet a lot of them are in areas where people don't have like high tech like equipment, and that's like the best they can get, and that bumps the numbers up. It's got to be, because otherwise it's not. I don't get it. It's garbage.
Andy, do you find yourself having to ask the youths in your life what new slang means? What is mogging?
No, mate, they learn their slang from me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, listen to Orbital.
Yeah. Complain about West Ham. For me, it's mostly just TikTok. You see things come up, and I still feel duty bound to understand current memes and trends, but it's getting to the point now where it's just, specifically the YouTuber and streamer thing. I sympathize with that, because it'll be you'll open X, because the only reason I ever open X is because football teams haven't moved to Blue Sky yet, so I have to for that stuff. And you'll open it and it'll be like, Johnny Blaze is beefing with Captain Prick, and you're like, well, okay, who are either of these people?
Captain Prick.
And you go and look them up, and they both get 15 million subscribers, and they've got like Lamborghinis and stuff, and you're like, okay, mate, whatever. So with those people, yeah, I find it kind of hard to keep up with. But in terms of youth music specifically, I feel like I'm still pretty in touch with the S Club Juniors, one step closer to heaven.
Oh, listen, aren't we all?
Speaking of S Club Juniors, Frankie for the Saturdays asks, I'm on holiday. What is your favourite gaming holiday memory? I once spent 1,000 pesetas on completing the first level of Time Crisis in the arcade in Magaluf when I was 14. Thought I was a baller until I realised that there was another level. Well, I'm not allowed to tell the story about when I jumped in the pool in Jamaica with my Game Boy Advance SP, because Sam already told it in the Discord before I got the chance.
Can I just say, I met Frankie from the Saturdays on holiday.
Did you?
Yeah, in Iron Apple. In Iron Apple 20 years ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway,
was it on a Saturday?
How many she only appears on a Saturday.
How many people would walk up to her on a Saturday and go, "Oh, You know what day it is?
How many people these days walk up to her and go, what's it? Rochelle? Well, Rochelle's still on the telly, to be fair, married to Marvin Humes of GLS fame, Jealous.
Jealous.
What the hell's the question? Oh, gaming holiday memories. I remember... I can talk about this now. The whole 1001 cartridge thing that used to kick a ball back in the Game Boys days, where it'd be like, oh, you go to Spain and you buy this cartridge and it's got a load of ROMs on it. So I used to get a couple of those, but then later in life, in like 6th year, someone brought one of them in and was playing it on their Game Boy, and it was a ROM hack of the first of Super Mario Brothers, but they replaced the Mario sprite with like a Pikachu.
A Pikachu, I've seen that one.
And they were like, this is the original Pokemon Green. And I was like, no, it isn't. And they're like, yeah, they only released it in Japan. This is the original Pokemon Green. And they wouldn't dissuade themselves from this. And I took the bait so badly. I was like shouting at the top of my voice in the middle of the school about this. And it was literally just a shitey ROM hack of Mario with Mr. Pikachu. But yeah, I used to love that was like my favourite part about going on holidays as I got older. I was like, PSP Go, on the beach, playing Metal Gear, that's it. Andy, gaming on holiday?
Gaming on holiday? I got some weird ones. You just have one stick out just because it's place and time, isn't it? You grab any old nonsense. I remember playing, you can guess where I was. I remember playing New Super Mario Brothers 2. Remember the one that was just all about getting coins? Not particularly great or memorable game, but that sticks out. I remember playing the hell out of that. The most recent Advance Wars.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I played that on an entire. I think I played an entire flight to Japan, and still, I think there might even been one mission. Not even joking. Really frustrating, that remake, because they've updated everything apart from the AI.
Yeah.
So it will be like you've clearly won, right? But it just becomes a battle of attrition, where what you have to do is 400 turns before you slowly whittle this guy down. Yeah, I don't know anything, because it's only going to be handheld stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, holidays was when I played my handheld stuff, and also there used to be a Dixon's in Glasgow Airport. Back in the day, and that's when I remember getting Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire from that Dixon's on my way to a holiday, which nowadays is like, obviously everyone's prepared. Buying a physical game from an airport to play it on that trip is fanciful at this point.
But it's for me, holidays, I like to kind of, we work in video games, right? I prefer to read a book.
Yeah, for me, all the holiday ones were like were when I was younger. Like I had a chipped NES that could play American games. So when I visit my family in America, I bought like the Addams Family Fester's Quest on the NES, like in America, and I was like, this is the future. But it's also stuff like, sorry, I've got background noise here. It was also stuff like playing. I was really big into American sports because I had family in America. So anytime you go to America, you would get all the Game Boy kind of stuff like NFL Quarterback Club and Jeopardy Sports Edition that would never be released in the UK, and that was when you'd stock up on the US only games. But that was good.
It's because you're an All-American. Oh God. I have a really bad memory generally, but sometimes it's like some stories will link me to other memories. I remember I was on holiday. I think it was in Cancun or something like that around 2006. So it was the World Cup game on the PSP for 2006. And do you remember, Chris, it had the thing where you could turn it vertically and play like a keepy up game by just pressing the D-pad? I used to be obsessed with that. It was like such a basic kind of like wee mini game, but I loved it, and I was playing it out at dinner. And obviously, when you're at dinner on holiday, the best bit is when they bring a bowl of bread and a thing of butter at the start, and you just tank the bread. So this was happening, and I dropped my PSP into this little ramekin of garlic butter, and it went in the little grooves around the shoulder buttons of the PSP, and in the battery pack. That PSP stank of garlic butter for all time after that. Despite my best efforts to clean it, I could just still smell garlic butter in it really brought me down because I loved my first PSP. That was really important to me.
Someone at Future Publishing, who I won't name, and it wasn't Andy, once was reviewing a Nintendo DS game and didn't have their DS with them, so they asked to borrow my DS Lite overnight to review the game. And when it returned the next day, mashed banana had been spilt on it. And banana had got right into every little crevice of that DS Lite in the bit where the stylus goes, which we've already established as my favourite bit.
How do you manage that?
So the thing just was brown, and every single little crevice was brown for the duration of. I was like, I'm not buying a new one. It was just like horrendous.
Not buying a new one? I'd have forced them to buy you a new one.
I don't know. So. I'll tell you off air, but Andy can probably guess it.
I would have hit the roof. I've never, ever let people borrow my stuff because I just don't trust them to treat it properly. Like,
stuff like that.
When it was discs and stuff, I wouldn't, because when I had a physical games collection, when that was de Geur, my discs were immaculate and they were all in the correct box. And you go over to your pal's house and there would just be this daisy chain of games in the wrong boxes, and I'd be like, I'm going up the road. This has actually ruined my night. So no one gets to borrow anything. Thank you, Frankie, for the Saturdays. We hope you're doing well. Mark asks, Easter egg of choice. Andy, what's your Easter egg of choice?
There are different kinds of Easter eggs.
Oh, piss off! Of course, there's different kinds of Easter eggs. You go into a shop and it's not just Easter eggs.
They are. Yeah, but they're just Easter eggs with a different chocolate bar with them. They're all the same Easter egg.
Oh. No, absolutely not true.
I mean, you're asking. So basically, it's like you just asked me what chocolate I like.
No, I didn't.
Because there's Dairy Milk ones, and then there's Nestle ones, and then there'll be like
because the quality of the chocolate in these changes.
So there's probably 3 varieties of Easter egg, right? And then everything else is what chocolate bar do you want with it? Correct.
I mean, by definition, Thornton's is the best Easter egg because it's like high quality chocolate, but nobody gets the Thornton's Easter egg, so you make do with like a Cadbury's one. Whatever. I don't think they do a double decker one, so that's out for me. So whatever.
2 Easter eggs on top of each other.
Whatever Cadbury egg I can find with a chocolate that is least offensive to me. So, yeah.
Easter egg chocolate is properly terrible. That's what Americans consider chocolate. Taste British chocolate as an American, it'll blow your tiny mind. Jamie H says, why are Bethesda putting this is getting accusatory tone, so I'll put on an accusatory voice. Why are Bethesda putting resources behind Oblivion remake when the Fallout TV show could really do with a New Vegas Fallout 3-1 instead? And before, quote, but New Vegas is Obsidian and Todd hates it crowd chime in, they're all under Microsoft now, so it's not as outlandish as it would be pre-acquisition. Jamie, they are doing a Fallout 3-1. It's out. It's going to come out pretty soon. Don't worry about it. They've done a Fallout 3-1, in fact.
For a second, when he mentioned the TV show, I thought it was going to be one of those people you always get on Twitter who like blame 2 completely different departments for something. Like, why are they making Oblivion remaster instead of making the TV show better? But now, when he continued, it made more sense. But
stop programming. Get onto the set.
Get that casting director in there and make some new textures. They've got to be working on some Fallout, surely.
A Fallout 3 remaster of this exact same ilk is currently in development. Like, I wouldn't worry about it. It is 100% done.
Hundreds a big number.
Yeah. Well, I presume they still have, they've still got to put a box on it and stuff like that, but don't worry about it. I agree, actually. I think they should have timed it better and had something out around the TV show, but yeah, that is happening, and I can't wait, 'cause Fallout 3 is one of the best games ever made. Angry Kurt, what is your favourite video game screenshot of all time? Do you have anything that stand out to you? Wow. You used to read from magazines or even more recently. What is your favourite photo of all time from pop culture, a sporting moment, or anything else? Favourite screenshot? I
can't even think.
That screenshot of Halo Infinite that killed the Xbox completely. The
guy.
Up of the grunt, just like
a wall guy from Perfect Dark Zero. That's quite good. That's quite a good screenshot. I'm sure this is not what he intended when he asked the question.
I don't know if it's a favourite, but the most memorable one I was sent was at Official Nintendo magazine when we were covering a Tony Hawk game and we asked Activision to send over some Wii screenshots. and they sent over Xbox screenshots, and we're like, that's not what it looks like on the Wii. Can you send us some Wii screenshots, please? And usually with third parties back then, a lot of them didn't have Wii assets ready because obviously it looked significantly worse. So they would never take, because we were the only people who wanted Nintendo screenshots. All the multi-formats would just cover the 360 or PS3 ones. So obviously they had to come back a couple of days later because they had to go and physically get Wii screenshots made for us. And when it came back, it was like 4K resolution. I can still remember the screenshot because it obviously just came straight from the dev kit, from like the PC dev kit, and then they're like, here you go. And because I still remember the screen like slowly loading up because it was like a 50 megabyte screenshot, like slowly loading down. I'm like, it's like, and I just had to email them back and say, yeah, no, that's not what it looks like. So that one, I don't know, my favourite screenshot, but it sticks in my mind as the most memorable. It's slowly coming in, and my disbelief just growing as it loaded in. So, yeah.
We have a lot of moans about this when I do it, when I'm reviewing a game in front of her, but I feel like when you review games, you have to start having like a sixth sense of like, okay, this is a good part to get a screenshot for the review, like there's a nice vista or there's something happening, so I'm constantly just like clicking the little screenshot button on PS, but no, I remember the shanners rather than the the really good ones in terms of favourite photo.
Don't know how lucky you are, mate. Back in the day, if you wanted screenshots, you'd have to specifically be hooked up to DevKit.
Oh yeah, did you have the little foot pedal? I remember people talking about that back in the day, where it'd be like a pedal activated thing.
My favourite photo is a promotional photo for a pantomime starring John Barrowman and the Crankies, and they're all dressed as pirates. Jimmy Cranky's in the middle, like with her hands up in the air, celebrating, and her husband, Jim Cranky, I can't remember. I never remember that. Ian Cranky, that's it. And John Barrowman are flanking her from the sides. And in the middle is a big pirate's, like a big ship steering wheel, and there's a giant wooden knob from the steering wheel coming up in the middle, and the picture's cropped in a way that when she's cheering like that and they're both grabbing the steering wheel, it looks like they're holding something else.
Well,
that's my favourite photo. Is burned in my mind. I'll post it in the Discord.
If you're not from the west of Scotland, have a look for the Crankies online and realise.
Just search Cranky's Barrowman. I'm sure you'll find it.
That qualified as entertainment in the west of Scotland. How can we be a country that produces Billy Connolly and the Crankies? It's really the sublime to the ridiculous. Couple of wrestling questions, but we'll cover them over the weekend. Anything else that does it for me? Oh yeah, last one from AHA Lambda. With the new game keycard on Switch 2 and the recent news that Indiana Jones on PS5 only has 20 gigs on the disc out of like 150 gigs for the game, do you have any thoughts on the game's preservation topic, which seems to be coming up more and more frequently these days? Personally, and this won't make me popular, I don't care. I fully assume that one day I'll be in my box and that'll be that. It makes me sad that some games are gone forever, but it's one of those, I think Adam Curtis called it ODism, where the companies are just going to keep doing this. There's nothing we can do to actually change it. The people that will preserve games are the good folks on the high seas of piracy, and God bless them and all seas that they sail in. In terms of like, I have one physical PS5 game out of about 200 PlayStation 5 games, so it's really not an issue for me. All my Switch stuff will be digital. So, Chris, you like physical things. You like shite that's going to go in a landfill one day.
I do, but I just like the idea that the games will be playable in some form. So my physical collection has been shrinking as I try and kind of save some space, because there are other methods of playing some of these older games, and I think as long as there's a way to play them, I'm happy. It's the concern is these, like it's odd that it's actually newer games rather than older games that are becoming the worry, because like you say, there are pirates aplenty for the older stuff who are going about ripping even like debug versions of games and prototype versions of games, and people are working away at kind of making sure the history of games is being preserved as well as they can. It's stuff that just gets pulled without warning from a digital store, and there's no way of playing it again, or servers being turned off. That those are the games that can no longer be preserved, and those are the ones that are the most kind of disappointing to me that there should at least be companies should be at least taking efforts to offer an online version of a game, an offline version of a game when they're pulling the servers, so you can still play it a bit. Especially like mobile games. Like if you're enjoying a mobile game that's got microtransactions, when the game ends, just say, look, you can keep playing it. We've made our money from it, or haven't in some cases. Just carry on instead of just pulling it and saying this game doesn't exist anymore. There's some people who like put years of their life into The Simpsons tapped out and can now no longer access all the things they built because someone just decided we'll turn it off now. It's frustrating.
For me, I did a separate issue. Just that on that, I totally agree with that. For me, I don't really care when it's like, oh, the PS5 version of Indiana Jones has 20 gigs out of 120. That's annoying because you need to download the whole game, but that doesn't really do anything for me.
But I mean, I did a big into with Night Dive, the remaster specialist we referenced earlier at GDC, is on the website at the moment. And the most it was this huge irony that they were saying their biggest challenge is dealing with physical copies that have degraded. Because there's this like people, they skirt around this issue, preservationists, that if you buy it physical, you're sorted. But it's just not true. Like, I mean, I'm constantly grasping as well. Like, are there any examples of any digital console games that don't work?
Well, there's like small stuff and
but games that people have bought digitally on a console that don't work.
Well, yeah, but anything that the servers turned
right.
off.
Well, you're looking at like
The Crew.
You probably get into the era now where PS2 discs, you're going to go and open your PS2 disc and they're not going to work.
Yeah.
Like physical media degrades. You're at the point now where a lot of like 64 disc drive, that era, like 2000s, because they're kind of magnetic, they won't work.
Yeah.
I think cartridges are more protected, but certainly discs. PS1 discs now, you're at the era where they'll just be, you open up and they'll be crumbling. Saturn discs.
Yeah.
I mean, they talked a lot about Night Dive, that a lot of the biggest issues, when they're trying to remaster games, we're going to have this game, is that the source code just won't work because it's stored physically.
Yeah.
It's stored they've got all this stuff in an archive and they just assume it's fine, but it's not. It degrades.
Yeah.
And beyond that, the contracts will be physical. They'll be on paper. Yeah. And there'll be something wrong. They'll be misplaced or they'll be gone. Is that, the best place to preserve stuff is digitally. It's just the issue here is the storefronts and things like that are to your point that you can't play them offline. I think a lot of attention is put on, so it has to be physical, when I don't think that's true.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I get annoyed by people who use preservation as an excuse for like current day piracy, and it's like that's bullshit. No, even you get a lot of people when Switch piracy was kind of rampant, and it still is, I suppose. And they would some of them would basically be honest about it and say, I don't want to buy it, but I want to play it. And you go, right, well, at least you're being honest about it. At least you're accepting it is what it is. It's piracy. You get people who say, oh, I want to play it, I want Zelda to look better because it looks crap on the Switch. And on that argument's kind of died now with the Switch 2 editions and stuff, because you can now argue, well, there it is, go and get it. But the people who say, well, this is about preservation, it's like, well, I think Zelda's fine. I think there are enough. There's a couple of copies of Breath of the Wild floating about. I'm sure that's preserved. Don't pretend that you're on a moral crusade here and you're doing God's work by pirating Mario Party Superstars. It's like it'll be fine. But yeah, I do think it's still an issue, but I agree. I don't think buying physical is the solution. Luckily, most old games can be played in a variety of ways, which I'm sure people can find if they investigate.
Well, I've just received an email which says ketamine use among UK youths at an all-time high, so I think that's probably time to wrap it. Thank you very much for listening to VGC, the Video Game Podcast. If you want more podcasts, including an incredible episode of Off Topic this week, where we talk about, amongst other things, someone shiting in a security cupboard in Morrison, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. That also gets you ad-free browsing on the website, extra videos, extra content, extra, read all about it. B-Sharps perform on rooftops. What are you up to this weekend, Andy? You are away on Sunday. What's Saturday going to be? You're going to be staying up all night, excited? Because it's a real rarity for you to get to go to Japan.
No, unfortunately, West Ham are at home on Saturday, so I won't be excited in the slightest.
It's all right. He's are safe. He's are safe for relegation. Another successful season.
Yeah, that's exciting, isn't it?
Chris.
I don't know, resting on Saturday, then got a big Easter party at my mum's house on Sunday where all the family come over. But we climbing the walls,
Yeah.
so we will. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, you need to rest up for WrestleMania, because that's
right, big WrestleMania.
The showcase of the Immortals, the grandest stage of them all. I'll be honest, I don't think the card's that good, but CM Punk's wrestling, so I shall be there. Until next time, say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you next week.